And good morning, everyone, and welcome to Small Biz Matters, the half-hour program where you work on your business rather than in it. I'm joined in the studio by a very special guest, and we're going to be talking all things community-orientated. Those of you who were listening last week will remember that we had Ian Cameron and Peter Rickwood from the PCYC and also Hornsby Rotary as well, a fantastic organisation that provides really important services to the people of Hornsby Ku-ring-gai, and told us all about their exciting new development that's happening in Waitara, which many people when they drive past think, oh gosh, it's just another block of flats. Well, in fact, it is going to be a state-of-the-art indoor sports stadium. So they were updating us on that. You can, of course, check that out via the podcast page on smallbizmatters.com.au. So keeping in the same vein, we're talking today to Steve Hopwood, and we're going to be talking about the very important services that Hornsby Connect provides to the local community here in Hornsby. Now, when I moved here around 5 years ago, I thought to myself, oh, it's so leafy, it's so green, there's so much here for people to live, but I think that there is an undercurrent and a lot of people who are homeless in the area. And when you say that to local residents, you say, Hornsby has one of the highest homeless rates in all of New South Wales. They're quite surprised. But what they don't realise is a lot of people are living, they're couch surfing, or they're living out of their cars, or they're actually living in the bush in the surrounding areas around Hornsby. And it's because of the good work of people like Hornsby Connect who provide these services to our residents in need that they are able to function and still provide a very important part of society as well. So welcome to the show, Steve.
Thank you, Alexia. It's a pleasure to be here, and it's a pleasure to talk about our little project, Hornsby Connect.
Oh, little project. I am hearing fantastic things amongst the community of this, how wonderful this work is. So please don't be humble. Tell us all about it.
I don't know how to spell the word humble, yeah. But I'll kick along. I'll tell you about the gestation and the genesis of Hornsby Connect.
And where it's come out of, especially.
Yeah, it's an interesting story. My former wife, Judy, who was the state member for Hornsby before Matt Keane, and I visited a number of countries in 2007 or 6, I can't remember the date exactly, and there was a restaurant in Dublin that was fed people who couldn't afford to feed themselves, and it struck me when I went into this place how well it functioned. And how seamlessly it operated, and there were two provisos. You couldn't come in drug affected or with drugs or alcohol affected, and they just fed people, anyone that wanted to come through. And I said to Judy at the time, this is something that Hornsby could use. So many years later, I was having a conversation with my very dear friend John Lockyer, who's the past chairman of the Women's Shelter. And John said to me, let's do it, Steve. So we engaged a few others, and we embarked on a consulting period with a number of the NGOs within Hornsby. That's the Sallies, the Salvation Armies, the St Vincent de Paul, Fusion, Mission Australia, some of the church groups. That went on probably too long, but out of it, the derivative of that was that that Hornsby really needed a place where people that were socially isolated and that couldn't afford to feed themselves, that were really very hungry, could come along. And so we further consulted, and we found an entity called Baptist Care, who had done a similar thing to what we're doing now in Galston Road, and they were really inundated with clients that coming along to buy food. Lots of grandparents that had children, and they just couldn't afford to feed them, and that went by it just stopped working because they had a lot of administrative problems. They hadn't sorted their logistics out, and it was sad. But we picked the pieces up from there. We put a really very clever business plan together. I put together a committee of people that really had some subject matter expertise. And that's key to any of these sorts of NGOs. You've got to get people that actually do the stuff and have an understanding of the nitty-gritty. And we've launched on the 4th of November. In fact, it's a memorable day. It was the day that Donald Trump won his victory in the US.
I'd rather remember it as the starting point of a wonderful organisation in Hornsby.
There you go. But everyone was looking at their phones, including me, to seeing how the voting was going. So that's how I remember it. Anyway, so that's the nuts and bolts of it. The thing is now growing exponentially. It's got a 40% growth week on week now of people that come along. But basically what it is I hate the word basically, but what we do really is we buy wholesale food from Food Bank at Glendenning. And Food Bank, if anyone wants to go out to Glendenning to Food Bank, it's well worth a visit. I'm happy to show people. It's a monumental warehouse that houses lots of dry food product and frozen. And they buy and acquire that from a multitude of places, predominantly food manufacturers, and then they sell it to people like Hornsby Connect, and there's a number of them floating around the state, for a nominal amount of money. And when I say a nominal amount of money, if for say, let's say a packet of Vitabrits will cost, I'm guessing, I don't buy Vitabrits, but let's say $5 or $6 at Woolworths or Coles, we would buy it for about $1 or $1.20 or something like that.
So this might be items that are overstocked, or it might be sort of surplus to requirements, but it's certainly not old items.
Definitely
or
not.
stuff
No, we don't
shelf.
sell anything that's past its use by. We're very, very, very strict about that. But it could be a damaged pallet or something like that. But the warehouse, it was mind blowing to see the warehouse full of this food. Anyway, so we order that food on a Tuesday online, and we now know through experience, being open since November, exactly what people like to buy. So we cater very specifically for the people that we want to buy. We have a trailer go out on the Wednesday the Tuesday afternoon, and pick up the stuff and bring it back, and we stock the haul up at the Hornsby Leisure Centre in Edgeworth David Avenue. And people come in between midday and 2 on Wednesdays and buy it.
So you would be working with the council in the sense that you can use that haul from then?
Well, look, that's an interesting story, and I'm glad you asked it. The most difficult thing about starting an entity like this is getting accommodation. And we first tried to get into the PCYC hall, where the PCYC have now moved into in Edgeworth David, the old bowling, Hornsby bowling area.
Yep.
Bowling green area. And that we were allowed in there, but there were challenges there in terms of what we could use, because the PCYC really utilised all of the area, because it's tough. And to the council's credit, I mean, lots of people throw rocks at the councils, but the council has been really very, very good to us. They could see what we were trying to do was going to be good for the community. So they said, you probably would be better in this hall, the Hornsby Leisure Hall, which is behind the Woollabura, that's the correct pronunciation. The old
Arts Centre.
Yeah, the Arts Centre in Edgeworth.
I didn't even know there was a hall back there.
There's 2 of them, which I didn't know either. So until we went there, had a look. It's a beautiful hall. It's well maintained. The council maintain it magnificently. It's got air conditioning. It's got circular fans at the top. It's got a nice kitchen with a microwave and a nice modern stove.
It's got parking where your clients
parking where
can
people can come in. There's a bus stop at the front door at Edgeworth David where people can
That's
get
perfect.
It is perfect. So we're well settled there now.
Well done, Hornsby Council, for coming to the party. That's awesome.
And I've written a press release about that earlier and congratulated them. But the bigger picture is for us, is for the council to allow the existing PCYC hall that the PCYC are using before they move to their new premises, which you found about last week with your interview with Ian Cameron and Peter, is for that to be donated back to the community. We would like to move into that premise.
I thought they'd sold it.
No, it's not been sold. It's in an area of we don't know what we're going to do with it. So we think that whole complex can be managed properly. The other thing that I've discovered through this whole exercise is there's a lot of grants out in the community, federal, state and others, and if you're good at getting grants, you can get money. Now that whole complex can be maintained. I don't have an issue with that. It's a matter of convincing the council. That's on the agenda for next year. They've got a lot on their plate at the moment.
It'd be interesting to see that utilised across a number of community groups, because I mean, as we were talking just before the show, there's community groups such as business groups like the Chamber, which could utilise that for meeting rooms.
Correct.
There's all the Rotarians and the activities that they have.
Correct.
I think the one thing I would find, despite the fact that Hornsby has seemingly space, there's a huge lack of community space.
Correct.
I mean, I imagine that's probably the case across Sydney, but it just seems to me that everything's locked. Everything is either, overutilised, which is to be expected, but also that there's just not the opportunity to access those things. And wouldn't it be great to see that council sort of brings that home or has more space that they give to the community? The number 5 pop-up shop is a classic example, and I've been in Mayor Steve Russell's ear a number of times about the fact that, look, it was there, it was ready, it was, up to a year in advance, people had booked it for their business launches and their openings
Sure.
for their business. But it was unfortunately rented out because the opportunity was there for them to rent and get 12 months worth of lease. And so the council had to take it. So wouldn't it be great? Wouldn't it be great to have a huge, we've got lots of parklands, we've got lots of open space. Wouldn't it
Sure.
be great to have some indoor space for utilisation across many community groups?
I agree. I'm very close to Steve Russell. Steve's a very close friend of mine. We've had the discussions, and I feel very positive about the outcome about all of this.
Oh, watch this space, everyone.
Steve Russell's probably one of the best mayors we've had in Hornsby for a long, long time. He's very receptive. He's very easy to approach. So it's work in progress. I feel like it's going to be a good outcome. So,
Awesome.
There you go.
So tell me a little bit about Hornsby Connect. Is this something that you would like small businesses to become involved in, or is it just more of an awareness and small businesses the ability for them to give gifts in kind, perhaps? What is it that you can access the small business community?
Look, we can't function with these sorts of things without small business being involved. Along with the food that we get from Food Bank at Glendenning, we get bread from Baker's Delight, from the Hornsby shop, and they're all franchised, I think. We have more bread that we can utilise, and that's free, and and they are very, very willing to be involved. So that's just one aspect of it. So if small business want to be involved in terms of giving stuff, more than happy to have them. We've had an abundance of people, volunteers that want to come along and help, who could give stuff. There's an organisation at Mount Colah called Help at Mount Colah, or I've forgotten their name at the moment. It's a seniors moment, and they've put together a bunch of hampers for children. You know, I can't tell you how nice it is.
Oh, this is one of the most giving communities I've ever been involved with.
And they came along last Wednesday with a bunch of this stuff, and they just gave it away to people, and it was really nice. They're doing it again, in fact, tomorrow. So so there's a lot of people wanting to give, and they do give. It's just fascinating.
Are we talking an Oz Harvest kind of situation where you've got excess stock coming from restaurants?
Well, Oz Harvest is a different entity. Oz Harvest is an entity that sources fresh.
That's right.
Keyword, really fresh produce from the markets and other places. And in fact, I've seen the Oz Harvest stuff. It's probably fresher than you'd buy at a supermarket. And the trouble with Oz Harvest is they're stretched to the limit. They just can't supply the demand or fill the demand.
That's right.
So I'm on their list. We're on their list for January. And January's the target date to be able to supply fresh produce at Hornsby Connect in Hornsby.
So you're going to be working in conjunction with them?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Absolutely.
So are you looking for small businesses who might have fresh produce to come on board at that point?
If we could do that, that would be wonderful. And we're very happy to engage in small business, but I haven't explored fully that avenue in terms of connecting with small business. And this interview today may well start that off. But yeah, look, we're happy for anyone to come along and be a supplier of it. The essence it really is to feed people who can't afford to feed themselves, and we're getting a whole. I've written down some statistics here. The first week we had 4 customers. We're up to about 62 now, and they come along every week. And as I said, it's growing 40% a week. 75% of those are from Hornsby. 19 of these are from the Korean community. Last week we had a Korean elderly couple that came from Blacktown that couldn't speak English, that were hungry. It was really tear-jerking stuff. We've got customers come from Castle Hill, St Ives, Pemble, Barara, Thornley, and as I said, Blacktown. We've got 6 homeless clients, and the majority of them are they're middle-level income families that, for whatever reason, they can't feed themselves. So. It's going very, very well. The challenge for me and my committee is now managing the growth, so we supply the demand out there. That's the challenge. So
we're going to take a short break here on Small Biz Matters. You're listening here with Steve Hopwood from Hornsby Connect, a vital service that's provided for people in need in our Hornsby community. You can find a little bit more about how you can be involved after the break. You're listening to Triple H 100.1 FM. And welcome back to Small Biz Matters, the half-hour program where you work on your business rather than in it. We've taken a different tack on Christmas this year. Last year at Christmas time, we were talking all about our clients and how we can connect with them and send out brand reminders. But rather than that, on Small Biz this year, we're talking about the community engagement and getting businesses involved with what is a very large and enthusiastic group of community-minded people here in Hornsby. And I have to say, I've lived in a variety of areas around Sydney, and this has got to be the most wonderful community or inspiring place. Like Steve was saying just before the break, you know, there's a group in Mount Colah that puts together hampers and drops them off to Hornsby Connect. I know that there's food drives happening constantly around the schools. There's a lot of school involvement. I was reading the other day that Hornsby North had the largest morning tea fundraiser for the Cancer Council out of all schools in all of New South Wales the other day, and that's absolutely fantastic. The Friends of Mount Colah. Of course, I've heard of them as well, actually. They put together a lot of wonderful things, and we need to think about those in need and how we as small businesses can give back to the community, which essentially provides us with a living, because there are a lot of people that need our help. And what you were just saying just before the break, Steve, you were talking about some of the statistics of the areas around Sydney where people come to in order to access Hornsby Connect, which provides, at this stage, basic food items for those who can't afford it when they go to the supermarkets.
That's right, yeah. So the sort of food that we supply is pastas. We've found that the instant microwave result that you can buy packets of stuff is very popular now. We provide nappies and other stuff we've got a couple of young I don't know whether they're unmarried or they've been deserted, but they've got young children. You can see the stress in their eyes when they come. We provide a lot of that sort of stuff for them, but, baked beans. The one thing that we've found that's very unpopular, which staggered us, is cans of spaghetti.
Right.
So we don't...
You live and learn.
We don't buy cans of spaghetti anymore, but certainly baked beans. You live and learn. That's exactly right. One of the other side interesting things that we've discovered is when we go out to Glendenning to Food Bank are so well organised, they get gifts of stuff that they give away. And the giveaways are watermelons. Watermelons. So that was very popular to give away. Last week we had a lot of tomatoes. Little cherry tomatoes.
Yeah, because there's a bit of a glut at the moment. You would be looking at what's happening seasonally in terms of the glut, and so that's really great. So they're almost a central point where everything comes in.
Correct.
And then they disseminate it across areas of Sydney.
The whole state.
Ah, right, the whole state.
So we had zucchinis, we've had potatoes, a whole bunch of different stuff. We just give that away. And
as you were mentioning before the break, you do accept gifts in kind from small businesses directly.
Yes.
But please bear in mind, everyone, when we talk about sponsorship and giving to the community here on the show, and I have had a couple of programs where I've gone, make sure you know what you're getting back. Make sure if you're doing a sponsorship deal with a school, for example, that you're getting some advertising. This is an instance where you should expect nothing in return.
We approached this not expecting anything. We've gone into to the right.
No, not you. I mean the businesses.
Yes. Yeah.
Basically,
sure.
you've got the ability to do gifts in kind, but don't expect that you're going to be given certificates of appreciation or that sort of thing. This is an opportunity for you to give back to that local community at the real local level, and
Absolutely.
That's what people like.
I'll give you an indication of two little small businesses, and they are absolute small businesses that have done that. The pharmacy at Mount Colah, Sue is the pharmacist there, and her surname escapes me, works with Jan Forbes with the Friends of Mount Colah, and they put these little hampers together for presents for kids. It's fantastic. Even Mick Gallagher was involved. Dear old Mick. God bless his soul.
When he wasn't getting his beard cut.
He's just a marvellous fellow from the community, and they've done that. And the lady that does our auditing introduced me to a gentleman called Anthony, who runs the Pie Bite. Or the
Bite Me Bakehouse.
The Bite Me Bakehouse.
Best coffee in town.
Yeah. Well, that guy...
I'm actually, this is actually from the Bite Me Bakehouse.
There you go.
Coffee here today.
Well
done, Anthony.
That guy is just amazing. Now, Anthony, it would have to be one of the nicest people that you could ever hope to meet. He runs that business on his own. He employs 20 people. The pies are a clear hit. The coffee, as you're drinking now, is a clear hit. Now, Anthony gives us, all the excess pies that are not sold at the end of each day. He pops them in the freezer. I have 2 pickups from him a week, and I use my home freezer at home and I put them in there. I'll do another pickup this afternoon at 5:30 from him, take them tomorrow, and we'll just give them away. Now, for a person that can't afford to feed themselves, that's struggling with a couple of kids, that'll, they can live in the refrigerator and they can do that. He's just amazing. Anthony is just amazing.
They are the real community leaders.
That's two little businesses, and so if anyone else wants to engage, they want to do that, we would welcome their support.
So we're talking excess stock of dried goods, for example, perhaps sort of large quantities of, if you've got some surplus stock that's been delivered and you don't want it. I mean, quite often you'll get deliveries of things and it's cheaper to just for the supplier to just give it to you than it is for them to ship it back to wherever it came from. Correct. Particularly if it's got an expiry date that's quite small.
Correct.
So it seems to me that would be a great way that a business could engage with you.
Yeah.
Pharmaceutical products, that sort of thing.
All of that stuff, any of that stuff would be wonderful. There was a lady, and I don't know this lady's name, although I did talk to her. I talked to so many people, I've forgotten this lady's name. Decided that she wanted to make up handbags full of ladies' bathroom requirements.
That's right, yes. And that is a thing at the moment where people give away their old handbags and you just fill it with all the excess stock that you've got in your house, the shampoos you're not using, everything else. And then you hand, the idea is that you just hand it to a homeless person, but it's good to do it through an organised community group.
That's been very popular. But the problems that we have logistically at the moment, we've put in for a grant to buy a big fridge and a big freezer, which we will house at the Breakthrough Church, who meet at the PCYC Centre in Edgeworth David Avenue. Ralph Esterbury's on our committee. Ralph is just one of the nicest people in the world. Very helpful, and he organises the logistics for Hornsby Connect. So that will open up a new window for us to give away a lot of frozen stuff to people on the day. So we're at the moment we can only do dried. That's easy to store. One of the biggest critical areas that we really need, so if anyone out there listening now can help us, we've got a big trailer that we use to go and pick up our food on Tuesdays. We have nowhere to store it.
What's the size of that one? Is it a box trailer?
It's a big box trailer, not a little bit, a big box trailer, standard height, but we need that to be underneath and covered parking so that it, because we store all the food, once we finish the selling on the Wednesday, all the food that's not sold, we put back in the trailer. We need to store it in a cooler arrangement. So that's we're moving it from all over the place at the moment. So if anyone's listening out there that's got a garage or somewhere we can store
something that's accessible after hours, you guys can go and pick it up, hook it up to the car and take it off. So if you've got that at that facility, and that's something that it's all those logistics, isn't it? It's really
everything's logistics. Yeah. Look, Ralph is very clever logistically. Ralph Esterbury from the Breakthrough Church. He handles all the logistics. He does the ordering online with Food Bank, and he's very clever at it. The other genius and gem within our entity is Bill Bradley, and Bill handles and looks after the volunteers. We've got wonderful volunteers that come in. So Kathy Bedwell is another great volunteer. So the people come in, they register that, and we try to make it a homely environment. So they come in, they have a cup of coffee, we have homemade cake. People can sit down and have a chat about whatever issues are in their life.
Just a quick suggestion, what about Ray at Magpies Waitara? They've got plenty of space underneath there.
I'm glad you asked about that.
Hi, Ray, if you're listening.
I know Ray very well. Ray Agostino is, again, one of the nicest blokes you'd meet in the world. The one problem that the Magpies have is parking, and we've asked them about that, but they can't. But the Magpies have donated us several $1,000s to kick us off, which was really welcome. They're just a marvellous community
They do give
club.
an awful lot to the community across lots of different sectors, actually.
They're a great club. So, thanks for that. But we've explored that, but it's a bit of a problem. But we'll get there,
So tell us, if people have got ideas that are popping into their heads now, how can they get in touch with you?
Easy. If they go to our website, which is hornsbyconnect.org.au, and at the bottom of, I think, page 1 is my phone number. Anyone can ring me up and talk to me about it. So, and I get calls and emails from people all the time asking about it. So, that's the easiest way to do it.
Now, Hugh, over to you. Now, you've obviously been in the community for a great number of years, and you're across quite a number of organisations. It's interesting that you came in there and asked about Asquith Magpies, because I think what I find interesting in terms of living in this community is that there are these fabulous groups that work either with others or in isolation to others, and they provide a basic need to the community. But there's people such as yourself, and hopefully this is what we'd like to become at Triple H, which is a connecting organisation.
Absolutely. It's all about communications. I think that's the important thing. And it's funny, I've got a program on Tuesdays, on tonight as a matter of fact, Local Sound, where I go out to some of the organisations that are more entertainment, if you like. And it's like opening a Pandora's box, because I might promote Triple H at the Hornsby Ku-ring-gai Folk Club. That's every third Friday of every month at the Eunice Taylor Hall, I think it is. And that's fantastic. But after 3 months, I get these people coming up to me, like Bugs, for example. That's a Barara Ukulele Group. So they come up and they want me to go out there and do things with them, and you know, the Bush Dance Club from Beecroft and so forth. There's so many things happening around this area that it's almost hidden. You know, and we currently Triple H is a whisper. We're a whisper. We should be the voice of the community. Right now, we're probably one of the best kept secrets.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
And again, another organisation that stands alone with these fabulous people in the community who are connectors, who are well connected and talk to other organisations. So I know someone who can do this. I know someone who can help you out here. And it's really about spreading that word to as many people as possible. And one of the things that Triple H is trying to achieve.
Yeah, I'll throw it out there to the listeners. Whoever you are, I'm sure there's 1 or 2 listeners out there.
24.
20. Oh my God, that many. That's incredible.
25 if you include my mum.
and they're friends if you ask them politely, I guess. Yeah.
But the important thing is that it's about building community awareness. It's about sending the information out there, not just about Triple H, but about groups such as Hornsby Connect and connecting people with them, because I think this is a very giving community, and if people have the time and the desire, well, everyone has the desire to give, but there's opportunities to give back to your own community here. Whereas in a lot of other communities around Sydney, where I grew up in the eastern suburbs, the thinking is not what's happening on your doorstep. It's what's happening in other countries, or what's happening in third world parts of the world, or it's happening, you know, in other areas of Sydney. You don't think of it as here. Whereas I think in Hornsby Ku-ring-gai, there's a much greater awareness of what's going on around us, and being part of a community that has its upsides and its downsides, and we need to support one another internally rather than sending out our funds or our money or our gifts in kind overseas or elsewhere. So isn't it great that we live in a community that looks after itself first?
The Hornsby culture really is, I feel it's really unique. You know, we have such a mix of diverse cultures in this area, but they're all sort of pulling in the one direction. I mean, they're pulling together. And you look around the whole of Australia, and we're kind of out there. We're different.
Yes.
In that respect, you know,
unique, definitely.
Yeah, because there's a lot of negative stuff happening. You know, we hear it all the time on the news. And yes, Hornsby does get its fair share as well. But the bottom line is the majority of the community really have a respect for one another, and they really want to pull together. And yeah,
and as long as we keep the sense of looking after one another as a priority, not to say that, you know, exclusive of looking after other people elsewhere in other parts of the world. That certainly happens in Hornsby as well. I mean, we were just hearing yesterday about that wonderful organisation that works with people in Papua New Guinea and has done for decades, which I hadn't even heard about. But we also have a huge number of organisations that look after our own local community, whether it be music-based or, you know, a voice for underprivileged or a voice for small business, which is what we hear our own Small Biz Matters. It's an important and integral part, and I think it does make Hornsby unique, absolutely. And it means that we have a stronger community base because we look after those that are vulnerable, I'd like to think. So I'm sure there's people out there who are thinking, well, there's gaps that need to be filled.
Oh, we can always do better, for sure.
The challenge for us, Hornsby now, I mean, I've lived in the Hornsby community now for over 30 odd years, and Hornsby has completely changed in demography since those days, and there's a large number of different ethnicities within Hornsby. There's a lot of Chinese, a lot of Koreans, a lot of Indians, and a couple of others that I probably missed, and it's like a siloed community, if you like. They some of them don't talk to each other, they feel isolated, And our challenge with Hornsby Connect is to connect with those sorts of people, because there are lots of issues there, and sort of get them out.
How do you do that? Because I know from my experience is that it's difficult. Well, I mean, I come from a Jewish background. I'm only third generation Australian myself, because of after the war, and exactly the same process where, you know, tens of thousands come out to a Western country and begin by creating a community enclave.
Sure.
Because that's what they know. So how do community groups, such as Triple H, such as Hornsby Connect, break down those barriers to offer them the support that you know that they need, but just they don't know how to ask for?
This is how I'm doing it. All of those different groups have community leaders that lead the groups. You need to make contact with them, which we're doing. They mostly have newspapers that they all read, and we've been able to communicate to the Korean community through their newspaper. That's drawn up another challenge. We need to have interpreters, which
and
we're
translators.
getting.
Yes,
yeah, because a lot of them, people who are badly affected, can't speak English. So that's how you do it. I'm talking to Matt Keane, because Matt's got a really good conduit into the community of those different ethnic groups. And that's the way we'll do it.
So again, it's talking about those connected individuals who can have got a bridge into those groups to offer the support that you know is vitally needed.
Absolutely.
I think one other thing is that you've got to be around long enough to establish credibility. That's the other thing, you know. So how many organisations are a good idea, they pop up and then just disappear as fast as they pop up. So it's almost like you have to reach. You have to have that time on the ground, and basically what we're trying to do now with Triple H, of course, is become visible out in the community. So it's not just necessarily the voice of the community, it's actually walk the talk, literally walk the talk, be on the ground.
Well, look, it's a very interesting comparison, interesting nexus. If you look at a small business, and Alexi, you're right into the small business world, a small business will start with a thought bubble or something else. I'll get a bit of money and I get into a small business and it will go okay. And then it will plateau and either go and expand and grow, or it will die. Now, Hornsby Connect as an NGO, as a charitable organisation, will go through the same phase. We haven't got the management or the processes involved. When the veneer or the enthusiasm wears off and the substance is not there, it will just shrivel up and die on the vine, and I'm determined for that not to happen. So we're putting management processes in place to make sure that we just grow with it. The next challenge for us is to get into those different ethnic groups, to solve the loneliness and the other issues that are in there. Food is just one issue. It's a big issue. I mean, it's a staple that we need daily, 3 times a day. But loneliness and other issues. There's gambling problems. There's drug problems. There's a whole bunch of different issues.
Well, you were mentioning before the program that you actually provide pastoral care.
Correct.
And also mental health awareness and support.
Correct.
For those who are coming in. And I guess this is a basic need as well as food.
Absolutely. So that's what we're trying to do.
So do you actually have other organisations that are associated with you? Like, for example, my daughter's a psychologist, so she would love to be able to volunteer and do things.
The answer is we would love to talk to your daughter about that sort of stuff. We're very closely aligned, as I said, with Ralph Esterbury, who's the pastor of the Breakthrough Church. And we utilise Bill Glover, who's a chaplain within that church, and Bill talks to the people and develops a relationship when they come through. We don't push them, we just try and find out what are the issues that are driving them, and then we can refer them on if they want. Psychology obviously is one particular area.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
You know, we've had some Asian people come through the door that have had gambling problems. And they've literally had no money and no food, right? Midweek, no food, no money. And they're acutely embarrassed about it. So we look after the food part of it, but we're there to help with the other part if they want us to help them.
We've got another program that's Mandarin Time, which we've recently just started, and that's the Chinese community.
Sure.
And it's mainly the elderly in Hornsby.
The elderly part of the Chinese community is a big problem. They're very family-oriented Chinese people, and the elderly look after children while the kids go to work, and they're very lonely.
Yes.
Very isolated and very lonely.
Yeah, and I think schools can play an important role in that as well, in terms of connecting the community with groups that can support them. But like you said, I mean, half the battle is understanding where your needs are. The need for food is an obvious one, and it's something that you can recognise pretty quickly within yourself. But the need for mental health support is not something that you can actually diagnose yourself quite often when you're in that space. We're just going to take a quick break today and take some community service announcements. We'll be back after this short break on Triple H 100.1 FM. And welcome back in the room. You are with Small Biz Matters, the half-hour program where you work on your business rather than in it. And this week we are talking all things Christmassy, but a different perspective. We're not looking at how we can support our clients and brand reminders and stuff flying around the place. We're talking about how we can be building a better community, which provides us with the income that we so desperately need as small businesses. So let's give back. And the way we're learning about that in this week and last week is all about the community organisations that support those in need. So today we're talking to Steve Hopwood from Hornsby Connect, which you can find out more from at hornsbyconnect.org.au. Did I get that right?
Correct.
And what they do is they provide basic needs to the underprivileged and those who require support in our local community. Just before the break, we were talking a little bit about not just basic requirements in terms of food, but also mental health issues and the way that they support pastorally those in need. And you were saying at the beginning of the program, your client base is growing by 40% a week?
A week.
So it's pretty exponential then.
Hugely. It's a concern. We've got, as I said to you, we've got that hall at Edgeworth David Avenue. We're getting it to a stage now where we're going to have to adjust the processes in terms of how we deal with the people. But yeah, it's a good challenge to have, and it's one that you enjoy. But certainly we're going to have to do it. And as we are delving into those different ethnic groups, and they become aware that we're there, it's going to get worse. So the sooner we can move into a centre like the PCYC Centre in Edgeworth David Avenue, that'll solve that. I mean, the PCYC Centre has a solution for all of it, because it's got plenty of space. It's got an old big cool room where the bowling club used to store its wine and beer and other things, and to reconnect that wouldn't be difficult. So we could store a lot of perishables.
And in the meantime, you were saying in terms of connecting with small business and how they can support. One example is a space to store the trailer that you have, or perhaps a space which is accessible that can store freezer or fridge units. So there's different options there. It's just got to be kept quite central, obviously, because if you're moving food and consumables around, you need to make sure that they're fresh when they get to the point.
Look, small business can really connect really well with us, and each week goes by, there's a small business that pops up. A week ago, I had a call from Jan Forbes, who runs the Friends of Mount Colah, saying that she stumbled across a small business in Leighton Place in Asquith. That sell crisps and other lollies and different sorts of foods all around Sydney. And they had these packets of chips that were verging on best before, not can't use, but best before. Now, we've test-driven them, we've eaten them, boxes of them we have received, boxes of them. Now, we wouldn't normally give that away because it's not the healthiest food, but at Christmas time, everybody eats that sort of stuff. So that's a small business that just found us and gave it to us. No, happy to give it to us.
Just a quick thought. You're growing 40% per week. How about manpower? How about volunteers? Do you need volunteers?
Now, that's a really good question, Hugh. The one thing that has staggered us is the number of people that have spare time on their hands that are willing to volunteer. It's a challenge to keep them focused in terms of what they need to do, and Bill Bradley on my committee does that brilliantly. There is a link on our website for volunteers if they want to register, and we would gladly have them along. I mean, clearly with volunteers, they don't have to come each week. They can stagger, week about here and week about there. But volunteers, there's plenty out there, and plenty with people that want to do good stuff. So
it is one of the things that makes this a great place to live, is the amount of volunteerism. I think it must be through the roof. I believe it's one of the highest places in New South Wales that has contribution of hours to community groups and to those in need.
Very quick one. The UV index must be fairly high today. So does Hornsby Connect provide sunblock?
That's a basic need in Sydney, that's for sure.
There's a lot of shade at where we do it, so that's a question we'll have to deal with.
Oh, I should mention the UV index. Thank you, Hugh. I didn't think of that. I do look at it for my children. Are you going to get around today? Put the sunscreen on. That's the way to go. So yes, that's a classic example of maybe pharmacies who have got excess stock, or
absolutely,
a space to store things. That's a good one as well.
Sure.
Get creative.
I tell you the other thing that's happening in the new year, which is really helpful. The Hornsby Lions Club. And we did this last year, or this year, on Australia Day. There's a huge, big extravaganza in the Hornsby Park that the council put on, which is just marvellous. It's a really nice family day. Well, the Hornsby Lions will be putting on a sausage sizzle that day, which is last year I was cooking sausages. I think I cooked 3,000 sausages. Myself and a couple
I think everybody has cooked 3,000 sausages in this town.
I smelt like a sausage for a couple of days, but we made a lot of money out of that thanks to Hornsby Lions. I think we were given a gift of $2,500, which was a good Kickstarter in terms of seed finance. So we're going to do that again next year.
So save your sausage sizzles for the Hornsby Connect.
Yeah, it's a gold coin donation, I think, or something.
That's a cheap sausage sizzle.
It is. Yeah, it works well. We charge
$4 for sausage sizzles at our school.
There you go.
And then when people complain, they go, it's a fundraiser for the children.
Exactly.
Well, you get a discount at Bunnings, $2.50, I think, isn't it?
There you go.
Yeah, no, it's a good way to raise funds, because obviously funds are a fairly important part. I think as businesses, we are nervous about making donations because a cash donation is obviously very difficult because of cash flow. But what's nice in this area is there's lots of opportunities to do gifts in kind, to give your services as well and your skills and expertise to these organisations.
Tax benefit too, I think, isn't there, when you give in kind?
Yes, there is. You can still get the tax benefit out of it as well, but the organisation needs to be registered in that way.
That's right. We've just gone through that whole process.
Oh, what fun.
It is. Look, whenever you get an organisation like ours that you've got to cross the T's and dot the I's, and the administrative part is a major area to it. So Doug Spencer, who's a local lawyer.
Doug Spencer does gift in kind work for every organisation. What a wonderful
Doug Spencer is the epitome of what someone should do in the community from a lawyer. Doug's just a great guy. I believe he's having some surgery on his leg or knee or something like that, so he's going to spend a bit of Christmas in Mount Wilbur recovering, I understand, but Doug's just a great guy. So he did our constitution and other work, again, for gratis. So, you can't start this sort of stuff without these sorts of people.
That's exactly right. So that's an example of a service that you might be able to provide. Perhaps you're an engineer, perhaps you are an electrician or a plumber that can offer those sort of services to places like Hornsby Connect. So is it weekly that the pickup points are? Tell us when the pickup points are.
So we sell food between midday and 2 o'clock on Wednesdays, and we're there at the hall from about 10:30 on Wednesday mornings. So if small businesses want to do that, the best way is to ring me.
Get in touch first, though. Don't do a drop-off of 3 pallets of stuff.
No. Look, we give stuff away, but we don't want to advertise that we are a freebie completely, although we give stuff away. It's there for a nominal amount of money, and if you give stuff away all the time, it sort of starts a welfare state. We don't want to do that.
That's right.
We want people to be able to say that they're paid for that sort of stuff at a nominal rate. So, please call me first and then we'll work out the arrangements. Yeah.
Fantastic. Look, thank you so much for coming on the program today, Steve. It's been fascinating to find yet another group that provides such an important service to the people of Hornsby. And don't forget, just because you're not one of those people or one of those businesses that requires this service, it doesn't mean that that Hornsby Connect is not providing you with the service, because by looking after our needy, you look after an entire community, and I think that's really important to know. We all thrive and we all prosper because we look after our most vulnerable.
That's one of the nice things about this country. We do that. It's part of our ethos, You go to other parts of the world where people just they don't understand how lucky we are.
That's right, because we look after our most vulnerable. So thank you so much for coming on the program and teaching us a little bit more about it. It'd be great to touch base with you again, say in 12 months' time, and
I'd love
let us know another list of things that you need and how we can put it out to the business community. So thanks for listening, everybody. There, of course, is not a great deal of things happening on the Small Biz Matters event calendar because most businesses are going to be shutting down. But we're going to be expecting to send out newsletters in January to give you an idea of all the events, an exhaustive list of all networking, event launches, business workshops that are available on the Upper North Shore. So check out that event calendar, and you can, of course, subscribe to the newsletter at smallbizmatters.com.au. And if you yourself have an event or a skill that you'd like to share your expertise with other businesses, get in touch, come on the show, and of course you have a valuable podcast that you can use for your marketing materials, and you find out more about Triple H, this wonderful organisation. Thank you for joining me today as well, Hughie.
It's been a pleasure, Alex. Pleasure.
And we'll see you not next week because we're having a break with Small Biz Matters, but back after the 4th of January. So I think it's the week after. So we'll have a couple of weeks off. We'll be joining everyone back for the new year. Fabulous 2017. There's quite a few things of 2016 we'd like to all leave behind. Donald Trump, as you mentioned earlier, is one of them.
But you'll still be on the air, though.
I will indeed, into my 3rd year. So,
but I mean, you'll have some recording stuff.
Oh, indeed,
yeah.
yes. Oh, yes. You can still gather your business education on Tuesday mornings as required. So, thanks for joining us, everyone. We will see you all next week on Small Biz Matters, the half-hour program where you work on your business rather than in it. You're listening to Triple H 100.1 FM.